Hello, hello. Here we are again, coming to you from 44 different platforms around the world on the Paranormal World Show. And one of those platforms that you got to visit is Conscious Awakening Network. They have about 50 different shows over there that cover absolutely everything that both you and me need to know about. So go have a look at it at consciousawakeningnetwork.org. And also, if you want to get a hold of me and Nori on Broadcast Team Alpha, just go to broadcastteamalpha.com and send us a message, and we will get the email, and then we'll get back to you. So we can talk about things, whatever is important to you. So I want to talk about something here that is, I don't think hardly anybody talks about it, and that is who actually built the pyramids in Egypt and Gaza. I'm talking about the three big ones. Everybody wonder about who did it and how could they do it, because we know we cannot do it with present day science. Cannot happen. So how did it happen? Well, what we need to do is to forget present day science. Since we can't do it, we need to look outside of what we know today. Could it be that people of the distant past actually knew something we don't know? Could it be they had a scientific knowledge that will make them able to do this? It's the same thing with UFOs. There are a lot of people saying, oh, the UFOs, there are no such thing, no extraterrestrials, because if they came from another planet, it'll take them a lifetime to get here because it's so far away. There we go again. They're thinking in present day science that we are allowed to know about. What if they, on another planet, knew something or were 100,000 or 1,000,000 years ahead of us in technical development? Do you think they possibly could have found a way to travel faster than the speed of light? Yeah. Sometimes it really amazes me how ignorant, highly educated people can be when they tell you that. Maybe that's just me. But back to the pyramids at Giza. They found the stone quarry where they got all the stones transported from to Giza to build the pyramids. That stone quarry is 600 miles away. It started with a stone quarry about 12 miles away from the Nile. So they had to cut the stones. That took a long time with the tools that they're supposed to have had at the time. And then they have to roll the stones on logs 12 miles to get to the river, and then float it down the river on logs again, just kind of platforms. We are told this is a very slow river. And by the time they got to what is today Cairo and where the pyramids are, they had to get it off the flotation and pull it with slaves all the way up the ramp, all the way up, and place the stone in the pyramid. Okay. If you have a 4-ton stone, this could be possible. But there are many stones in there that is a lot heavier than that. There is one that is 75 tons. Some of you don't understand that. These are metric tons. There is 1,000 kilograms in 1 ton. And there is 75 of those tons. And then again, there is about, plus or minus, there's about 2 pounds in a kilogram. So now we got a British ton that is about 150. So no, you don't float a 75-ton stone down the river. I know a little bit about buoyancy. It's not going to happen. They floated it another way. I think probably many of you watching this are already talking and thinking out of the box enough to understand that we've been had. There's another way they did this. I'm going to give you some information which I think many of you will actually go and Google and read it. There is books on it actually, but nobody seemed to talk about. There's something called the pyramid text. That is interpretations there show a reference to the Crocodile Kings. That is pre-dynasty that we know about. They lived before the dynasties that we had in Egypt that everybody's talking about. So they were the previous rulers of the pharaohs. Also, they never died. They were immortal. How could it be that somebody is immortal? I have studied old people a lot. The oldest one I found died from an accident at 256. You can research him to Li Xing Yuan. He died from an accident. He would have been older did he not have that accident. And the reason that these people, and that is in the writing also, why they did not die is because they ate something they called, what is it? We call it white powdered gold or Ormus, or there's other names for it. There was a monastery on top of Mount Sinai, a very old one, where they found compartments embedded in the stone inside the building that had white powder, or white actually, it was caked in pretty much, but some of it was still powder. And they couldn't figure out what it was. So when they opened it up, it was windy up there, so a lot of it blew away and there were hardly not much left. They took samples of it and sent it to London, England, because that's the one that did that discovery was from England. So he took it back and they ran it to a spectral analysis machine, and that white powder showed the signature of AU, that is gold. And I said, no, that can't be. So the machines are wrong. So they just put it away and forgot about it. We know now what white powder gold would do. Ormus will do to the body. It will rebuild the body's genetic structure back to its original idyllic shape. And then there is this other one. It's called the Palermo Stone. It was found in Palermo, Italy. The Palermo Stone show a list of Egyptian rulers, including the Crocodile Kings. So there's another evidence that they actually did exist. And then there were Robert Duval and John Anthony West. They wrote about the Crocodile Kings as pre-dynasty rulers of Egypt that built the pyramids. They did a lot of research on this and they came up with that conclusion. When they talked about the pyramid, they talked about the big ones. The small ones are just somebody thought they were important enough a long way, and then they built themselves a different form of pyramid. It's a step pyramid, different kind, have none of the same effects. It doesn't have much for pyramid effect. But there's also carvings in temples throughout Egypt in many different places that show people walking and they have crocodile heads on them. Yes, I have some pictures. And this is not accepted science because it throws what we have been told in the ditch, because the global narrative is that in the past there are nobody smarter than we are. We are the absolute best there ever was on Earth when it comes to science. Yeah, well, think on that one. There are many statues of people around the world. All the way they have them over in the Far East. They have them in Egypt, and I think I saw one in South America also. There was a statue of a person with a crocodile head. These carvings in temples, they are all over. And the thing is that they date back a long time. There was a few archaeologists from the Ukraine that came to Egypt, and they spent several months there digging, and they observed the area and they did measurements, and they found, they came with a conclusion, and they wrote a paper on it saying that it is very likely that the big pyramids on Giza could be as old as 800,000 years. All right. And they also said that the Sphinx also was probably built before the pyramids, because the Sphinx has runoff, grooves in the back of it, all deep grooves from water having hit it and run off the back of the Sphinx. How often do you think it rains in Egypt now? Twice a year? Twice as much as, well, half as much as Tucson. There were probably 30,000 years since there was lush forests and vegetation and weather that could create rain to the amount where you had a runoff of water that could start creating those deep grooves on the back of the Sphinx. So when they're saying that the Sphinx is built before the pyramids, I am okay with that. That could be 30,000, 60, 100, 2,000, 200,000 years ago. We don't know when that was done because there is no date stamp in the Akashic records, which some people have had a look at. So there was an Egyptian god named Sobek, and you'll find writing about him in old Egyptian literature. Sobek, and Sobek had human body, hands with longer nails on it, kind of like claws, and a crocodile head, as you can see in the pictures. And then again, there are statues all over Egypt showing this particular god and his servants having crocodile heads also. So what's the story? What's the real story? The Egyptians made statues of things that they saw. And of course, evidently the Crocodile Kings did too. And these existed before the dynastic era started. Think about that. Now, you got to go and do a little research. You got to read those two. The pyramid text, if you read that, you will never, ever believe Hawass again. And also the Palermo Stone, they talk about the Crocodile Kings. So I've given you something to think about. Now it's your turn. Go do your own research and find out what really happened. They're also writing about how they built it, not from where only, but there is also a how. And yes, that involves technologies we do not understand. Let's read those two papers and you will know a lot more. But that is for another show, and I will deal with it when that time comes. So until then, if you like what you hear, please subscribe if you are on YouTube and like us everywhere else out there. And until next one, be good to each other.